Growing number of companies are cutting ties with Kanye West over the hip-hop mogul's offensive and anti-Semitic remarks. Adidas and The Gap weighed in today, knocking him off the list of Forbes billionaires. CBS's Jonathan.
What is going down, world? Welcome to the 40-year-old FUQ Boys podcast. I go by the name Black Pegasus.
And it's your boy, Don Wannabe, back in the house.
And damn these chains. So Kanye, they're saying he's knocked off the billionaire list.
What's crazy is I heard a podcast like 2 days ago where he was saying that he was the richest black man in American history.
Yes.
And apparently, all of that has changed.
Let's get into it, you guys. Before we don't forget to like, share, and comment on all the content. Hit that subscription button. We just hit 42,000 subs. We want to get to 50K, then 100K. But you're rocking with the 40-year-old FUQ boys. Let's go. 40.
40-year-old fuck boys are back in town. 40. The boys are back in town. 40-year-old fuck boys are back in town. The boys are back in town. 40-year-old FUQ Boys podcast. Malt liquor for your ears. 40.
All right, y'all, let's get into this. But before we get into it, don't forget this Saturday, October 29th at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, we're dropping our next big reaction with the reminders. It's a Harry Mack reaction, so tune in for that. It's going to be pretty fire. And this Saturday, October 29th. And also look at the channel. We're dropping a bunch of new content, a lot of freestyle stuff, but a lot of other content. But let's get into this. Let's go to the fake news media and see what they have to say about Ye, and then we're going to give our take. Now, the title of this is Adidas drops Kanye West after anti-Semitic remarks. Now, this is what I question. And me and you have had this convo today, and I think we're on the same page. You're really on this even more than I am. But the biggest question to me is, yes, Kanye is reckless in some of his interviews. You don't have to agree with that. I'd say he's reckless, but I'm still trying to figure out where's the anti-Semitism, because the more I look into it, anti-Semitism is the hatred and, calling for violence, calling for hatred towards a community of people, right? And I haven't heard him do that once. He may have said some things that are reckless that you don't agree with, but I have not heard him spew hate or violence to, So I've been hearing people, oh, it's a dog whistle, blah. I mean, we can get into it. Let's get into the clip and then talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do this. All right, welcome to Fake News Media, One-on-One, The Matrix. We probably shouldn't even be watching it, but here we go.
Followed.
Let's take it from the top,
The
actually.
list of four companies are cutting. Well, tonight, a growing number of companies are cutting ties with Kanye West over the hip-hop mogul's offensive and anti-Semitic remarks. Adidas and The Gap weighed in today, knocking him off the list of Forbes billionaires. CBS's Jonathan Vigliotti. More now on the rapper's deeply hurtful comments and the consequences that followed.
Do you think they were deeply hurtful comments? I think if
people are getting enraged. Yeah. So, two people, they were deeply offensive and hurtful.
And when I asked that, I'm not knocking it. And now that I think of it,
I can't speak to it because I'm not from that community.
Sure.
And obviously, we all know.
I thought you were like 0.0 something Jewish.
I'm 0.03.
Hey, but L'chaim. Let's go, baby. Let's go. We all people, human race.
Rapper and designer Kanye West thought he was untouchable. 9 days ago, he said this.
I could say anti-Semitic things and Adidas can't drop me. Now what? Now what?
Okay, I got to take some of what I just said back. I watched that whole thing and I forgot he said that. But he was making an example. These are short clips. He said that. He's like, I can say anti-Semitic. But
that was a 3-hour interview.
Yes.
Right? The problem with these type of things is that he was going in and he kept saying, the Jewish media.
Yes.
Right? And the way that he was hammering in on that, it's a recipe for disaster, obviously, like he found, right? But when he said, I can say anti-Semitic things, they were like, oh, yo. He's like, well, they're calling me anti-Semitic.
Yeah, he was leaning into what they were calling him.
He specifically said, I'm not going to sit here and deny it because, I've just learned just to lean into it. Like, because they're going to call you that regardless of what you do. So F it, I'm anti-Semitic. Now, See, right there, me just saying that, they could clip that.
Susan, YouTube, we are not anti-Semitic. No. This is a conversation we're having, and he was regurgitating what he just saw.
Yeah. So it's crazy because even as I say that, it's like, I'm like, oh man, that could be used against me.
In the court of law.
But the reality is, right, is that that's what's happening with these scenarios. Now, I'm not justifying what he said, but in the context of a 3-hour conversation, to take that one snippet out of it, now that conversation is been deleted from the internet and scrubbed, right? Check this out. This guy posted something where he downloaded that into his Google Drive, right?
Yeah.
And it flagged him and said, this violates Google's terms of service. So just the fact that he downloaded
the Drink Champs
interview to his personal Google Drive, they sent him a notification saying that he was breaking the rules.
Damn, we're officially in China, bro. Remember when we went to China, had to use a VPN for everything?
Yes. So, like, again, you know, it was a 3-hour conversation.
Now, hold on. I want to say
even when he said that, I was just like, oh, man, this is bad.
Yeah. Well, he said crazy stuff. This is why I said, he's reckless. Now, did he say anti-Semitic things? That sure sounded like it. The way it was.
Exactly.
But how you said it's kind of out of context. Mm-hmm. You know, because he also said, I love these people. I have friends in this community. But this is what's interesting.
He also says that he's Jewish.
I'm going to play this and we're going to really dive into this because what's very interesting about it is that he apologized for all of this. He apologized this on Piers Morgan. He apologized, but let's continue.
But today, amid tumbling stocks, the German sneaker giant severed ties with the artist, now known as Ye, saying in a statement it does not tolerate anti-Semitism and any other sort of hate speech, and it will stop all payments to Ye and his companies. West YEEZY brand once brought Adidas near.
This is where I struggle, right? Because obviously I don't agree with people making hateful, racist comments.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
The part where I struggle is they're saying that they're going to stop all payments. And I'm like, how is that legal? Do they not have a contract with him? I mean, I don't know what the terms of the contract are, but how can you stop payments if he did work, if he has a contract? I mean, maybe that's in there, some sort of clause that's buried in there. I mean, you know, they probably have some good lawyers, right? But what is mind-boggling to me is that we now live in this era where JP Morgan said that he's got several months to close out his banking account.
And he has 143 million. He needs to hit up Andrew Tate and get the game on how to move your money around Andrew Tate was talking about Singapore. He's like, bro, they tried to cancel me. They canceled my bank accounts. This is what I did. I was like, you're lit. And this is why Andrew Tate talks about you need passports, you need bank accounts, you need driver's licenses. You can't play with the matrix because they will come for you. And that's also why he said he's not a huge proponent of real estate, because if they get mad at you, they just take your real estate. And he puts his money in places that they can't get to. Now, I'm not saying he has all the answers, but this is wild. Now, man, we got to get into this. Because this is deeper than this. This is way deeper than this is wild. This is wild stuff. And before we get into this, it's crazy because only with certain groups this happens. And I'm kind of thrown off because Mel Gibson on camera, Mel Gibson said to his girl, after I think he beat her, he said, she went out, he said, I hope you get R word by a pack of N words with the hard ER. Yep. This is on camera. His bank accounts weren't taken, and it's just interesting because all the
He did also say some
he said some wild stuff.
Hebrew stuff.
He said some wild stuff, and he made the Passion of Christ, but I don't know if that fits in there anyway. But anyways, so think about that. Now, it's just interesting because, people get canceled, but only for like a weekend. A weekend at Bernie's. Remember
we live
when
in a new era, though, because
Morgan Whalen said the N-word? And it was like, oh, now, he's selling out arenas. Now, that was out of context. He said that with the A in the back, whatever. But it's still interesting if we're going to start comparing stuff. It's like, yo, man.
Well, we live in a new era, and that's what about all of this. Like, you know, it's such a deep conversation to me on so many levels, because you have what Kanye said, which I can see why people are construing it as hate speech. Like, I can see that point of view. I understand why they feel that way.
Sure.
I also understand what Kanye is saying. You know, there's a clip of him. I actually saved it, but you know, he basically says, like, why is it okay that we can promote music? If I go into Spotify, the top 5 songs in hip hop will be talking about somebody shooting a black person, selling drugs, blah, 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 all this stuff. Right.
Yeah.
And he's like, and they're profiting from this. So there's a conversation there that I think needs to be had.
Yeah.
But it's getting overshadowed by all of this. Right. But then you have this extra layer, which is this whole system that's now saying that if you step out of line, we're going to close your bank account. We're going to cut off all your contracts. I mean, this happened to a woman in Florida that was a Trump supporter, and Uber said that that she could no longer use Uber. DoorDash said that they were counseling her, that she couldn't be a client with them. And then lastly, PayPal just came out with something recently where they said that if you, as a person, just you, for instance, or me, said something that was deemed to be misinformation or, you know, hate speech, basically, that they would keep up to $2,500 of your money.
The most important thing out of all of this, I saw it today on Anomaly's live stream. So I need you guys, if you're watching this live, put it in the chat, fact check me in the chat, fact check me in the comments. But he was saying that they're creating speech laws. And the first ones that are coming down the pipeline is anti-Semitic speech laws. Now, the reason I like Anomaly, he leans right. But he calls everything for what it is. And he was on his live stream talking about DeSantis is the one pushing this in Florida currently. And I'm not into the politics like that. I'm just, when I hear some information that sounds groundbreaking, I'm like, because he was basically saying, yo, I don't believe in speech laws at all. And neither do I. That's wild when we start having speech laws, because I get, you don't want to hurt people. I understand that. Like, I'm with that. But what I'm saying, it goes, because like there's these type of speech laws in Europe where someone got arrested, a comedian, for saying a trans joke. You know, they're coming and arresting people, I believe.
There was a mother in the UK that recently had the police come to her house because she posted something online.
Yes.
So they came to her house. So this is happening in Ireland now that they're passing these laws. It's happening in the UK. It's happening in Canada. And, you know, what is so crazy about all of this, you know, speaking of Jewish people, right? There's a Jewish lawyer named Ira Glazer. You can look him up. And to me, it's a really amazing story. Like, I hold this person in such high regard because he's demonstrating on the most basic level a commitment to free speech and what American law is. Ira Glazer is a Jewish American lawyer. And I think he might have even had family like in, you know,
the Holocaust.
In the Holocaust. So, you know, point is that there was a white supremacist parade that was going to happen in a town.
Oh, this is back in the day with the
Chicago.
ACLU.
Yep, in Chicago, somewhere in Chicago or Illinois. I think it was a small town in Illinois, right? And they were protesting it, trying to ban it. And Ira Glazer, a Jewish American, came out and said, no, we cannot do this. We cannot, as much as I despise these people and what they stand for, me of all people, you know, being a Jewish American, should hate them more than anybody else. Right. But if we take away their right,
then we take away our rights
for free speech, then who's next?
Yeah, they take away our rights.
Is it me? Exactly. And so that's what the commitment to free speech is. So what I feel like is happening is that because we have these free speech laws, you know, or excuse me, the freedom of speech rather, I feel like there's this these nipping at the edges of it where they're trying to erode it.
They're trying to close the door on free speech because what the internet has become.
Exactly.
They can't control the internet anymore.
Exactly.
And so now it's
There never was free speech. So that's the thing that I just want to be, kind of the point.
It's weird because I feel persecuted and oppressed in the sense of, that I don't have free speech right now. But in real life, speech has almost never been freer. I can reach so many people through technology so quickly.
So this is the conversation that I wanted to have, right? Because
can we play the rest of this and let's get it, because
we'll
there's
get back to that.
a couple other things that
annual sales. Critics say Adidas was putting profit ahead of ethics.
Did Adidas make the right decision here, and was it quick enough?
Adidas made the right decision. I think 3 weeks is way too late. They should have done so within the first day.
Earlier this month, West tweeted he would go DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. Instagram and Twitter quickly suspended his accounts. Companies like Fashion House, Balenciaga, Vogue.
That was super reckless.
Yeah, that is
crazy.
wild.
And like he spelled it death. It's like, bro, you snap. Like he kind of dug his own grave on that. That should have been an immediate I mean, bro, anything with death in it, like. He meant DEFCON, but I get it. I know he meant DEFCON, but like, just keep it real. Like that, it looks mad wild.
So. Yeah.
I'm going to play the rest of it. Let's keep going.
Gap, Foot Locker, and even his talent agency have parted ways. The controversy apparently sparked this anti-Semitic demonstration this past weekend.
See, that's when I was like, yeah, man, because I already been saying he's reckless, but when I saw this, I was like, that's what they mean dog whistle. Like, because a lot of times, see, the fake news says things just to say it. So you get used to it. Oh, that was Trump's dog whistle. And it wasn't a dog whistle. But when I saw this, I was like, I don't know if this is staged. I don't know if this is real. But like, I got some Jewish homies in the game, rappers, agents. And I'm like, these are my peoples, bro. You know what I'm saying? So when I see stuff like this, I'm like, that's not cool, bro. That's not cool.
Yeah, and that's why I understand when people say that it's opening the door to this, because there are mad, ignorant people out there. We have to put warning labels on like Clorox and shampoo to say do not drink. That's the level of stupidity that exists in our world that you actually have to put on the label on shit. People are doing the Tide Pod challenge for a minute.
Yeah.
On an overpass in Los Angeles.
It just takes one deranged person of his 31 million followers on Twitter, or again, his hundreds of millions of fans around the world to say, if the Jews are out to get Kanye, I'm going to get them.
Tonight, there's a harsh new spotlight on brands and the real cost of staying silent.
And the Anti-Defamation League says anti-Semitic incidents are up 40% this year compared to this time last year. Meanwhile, the Holocaust Museum here in Los Angeles has invited West for a private tour. Nora, he turned down that offer. Okay,
so isn't violent crime up in general?
After the pandemic, all that type of stuff is up.
Yeah, I mean, that was reckless in and of itself. Like how people didn't think we were going to have massive issues
with mental health,
with lockdowns and all of that stuff. But yeah, so back to the whole free speech thing. Like speech never was free, right? Like I'm about to get conspiracy on you. I'm about to get deep. Operation Mockingbird. Are you familiar with this?
Yes.
Yeah, the CIA basically has had a long-standing relationship with news organizations here in the U.S. and all over the globe where they have, agents that are implanted within news organizations to feed stories out that they want to have fed. Sometimes they're not true stories. There's been incidents where they were literally creating fake news, right? So this has been in existence, since at least the 60s, you know what I mean? But the issue with that, why I say that there hasn't been free speech, is that there was this control always, because sometimes like you'll even say this, like it's crazy, the censorship, like we never had a voice though. That's the thing. You had a couple newscasters and a very controlled flow of information that was directed through, ABC, NBC, a couple news channels and the main, publications, right? So I think that all of this that we're seeing is a reaction. You said it. They were not prepared for the internet. And when I say they, it's the powers that be.
Yeah.
Was it Saudi Arabia, Jamal Khashoggi? he was a journalist that worked for the Washington Post, right? And he spoke against MBS, the sheik out there, the king, basically the ruler out there, and they chopped his ass up, put him in a duffel bag, right? And he's a journalist.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, what we have going on is it's like this Pandora's box where I don't think that the powers that be recognize the power that they were literally giving to the people.
Yeah.
And now they're seeing all these voices that they can't control. Now, in some cases, like I could see, why they're saying that what he said was damaging, right? And how it can open the door for hatred. But also I think what they're afraid of is that they can no longer control the narrative.
Yep.
And that's the biggest thing that they're pushing back against, and why they're doing all these, actions like closing people's bank accounts, because ultimately what they're afraid of is losing control of the narrative.
Yeah, let's get let's get flowing with this. So one of the things that I think is getting left out of all of this is the fact, first, all the different places he got dropped from, right? But tonight he got dropped from Foot Locker stopped having the Yeezy brand. So not only did he get dropped from Def Jam, dropped from Balenciaga, dropped from Adidas, blah, 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 now they're no longer carrying Yeezys in Foot Locker. However,
somebody posted though that like, when have you ever seen Yeezys in Foot Locker? Give me a break. This is just I don't know, because I don't really run into Foot Locker.
That's a good
like
question.
that.
Me neither. Actually, I get all my stuff
like,
online. I'll go through like StockX or GOAT.
Yeah, and that's what they were saying is like he even said that it was like online sales were most of his stuff. Yeah. And I think most of his stuff is somewhat exclusive. So I think it's more like they were just suggesting that it was just capped, just like virtue signaling. It's like, bitch, you don't carry it.
Yeah, I wanted to post this though. This is the best thing that I've seen this week on Ye. So this is a picture I saw on Facebook, and he was at his daughter's, it looks like basketball or volleyball game. I'm guessing basketball. And even though all this cancellation, the one thing that he said in all of his interviews, he's like, none of this matters. He's like, this is what I believe. This is what I stand for, blah, blah, blah. But he was like, all that matters is family, your time on this planet with your family, and love. And there he is with his daughter at her game. And I'm just like, I have a daughter, and that just resonates with me. I'm like, well, at least, he's going through the fire right now, literally through the fire. But anyways, he's still there for his family. Now, right now, we need to let y'all know that, stocks are going up. Like they saying he fell off, right? They're saying, yo, Yeezy's canceled. But look at this, y'all. Look at what Don got for y'all. Hold on. Let me take this display down. Look at this, y'all.
So what's crazy is, like, speaking of family, that's why I had to grab the box. My son, my son hit me up, and he was like, hey, Dad, I want some shoes for basketball. I need some basketball shoes. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, what do you want? And he's like, I want the Yeezys. I was like, get the fuck out of here. Those are like $1,000. I'm not buying you any Yeezys. He's like, no, Dad, they're only like $120. They ended up being like 170 in his size. But I already told him, like, yeah, I'll get them for you. So like a week ago,
he got the boosties.
Yeah. Yeezys.
Now these aren't the ones that are like super popular, but hey,
whatever. My son asked for some basketball shoes.
What? So
little did I know that he was asking for some racist basketball shoes. I'm like, damn, son.
Damn, those are the. I'm not even gonna go there because I'm not trying to get taken off YouTube. These dudes, they be coming for you nowadays. I'm like, it's crazy. I would say a joke. I have a couple of them, but I guess you can't joke anymore either.
Yeah,
at least not this week. We'll come back with some.
But we'll see, because my question to you is, do you think the value is going to go up now or go down?
Absolutely. The black market See, this is what happens. Heroin's illegal. Cocaine's illegal. All that stuff. But when it's more acceptable, the value goes down. We live in Colorado. Getting marijuana is so dumbed down. Like, you get a pound for like a G, $1,200. But you go to Texas, $2,500, $3,500. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The black market dictates. So these people, someone's going to make money off of this. That's just what it is. What's this?
Well, and let's just be real. The culture, the typical hip hop culture is about like exclusivity.
Exclusivity, baby.
So the fact.
Having it.
Yeah,
They
so
still Yeezys.
Yeah, exactly. So the fact that they're taking it off the market, like you said, it almost makes me feel like it's gonna make them go up in value.
This is the other thing.
I don't know. We'll see.
And I feel for the people who've been hurt by this. I truly I got love for man, I have a lot of love for a lot of people. If you were hurt by some of the things he said, I'm not going to justify that. I don't get hurt by words. I don't. I can't. I used to have emotional triggers, and I have to. It doesn't serve me personally. So someone calls me the N-word, someone calls me a biracial slur, someone says, this is, my or who I chose to marry, all these things. All the black community always says that I have an identity crisis because I'm light-skinned. That's always been a thing in the black community.
Bro, everybody gets it. I mean, I've had kids chase me.
I'm just saying, mixed people, black mixed people just have this weird plight. It just is what it is.
I get that. What I was saying is it doesn't matter who you are, right?
Yeah.
Because in your situation, what you're talking about is like people in the black community saying because you're light skinned.
Yeah.
Right. And so even inside of your own community, you get a certain amount of hatred. Like when I was growing up, I'm half Mexican, right?
Yes.
My dad is dark skinned, dark skinned Mexican. I got my mom's light skin, red beard, right? From her side of the family.
Just like my daughter got my wife's fair skin.
Yeah. So I always felt like this odd man out because the Mexicans would make fun of me and be like, oh, you're not Mexican. And they diss me. And then I had other kids chase me and be like, hey, white boy, hey, honky, hey, you little cracker, and throw rocks at me. So it's everybody gets some sort of hatred and bullying and, throughout life. So we all know what that feels like. Right.
I'm just saying, I do feel empathy for people who have been hurt by this, but I just have to make the statement that when people come at me irrationally and crazily, as long as it's not physically, I'm like, yo, it doesn't serve me. My mind is on some think and grow rich. It doesn't serve me having these emotional triggers to words that people say. It just doesn't. And I don't care what people say or think, as long as it doesn't break that physical barrier. And when it does, I'm ready to protect myself.
Yeah.
So, that's all I was saying. But
I get what you're saying because it is, to a sense,
it held me back. It held me back a lot of my life having.
Well, you give another person power.
Yeah,
when
over
you
you.
allow them to kids used to call me short and stuff like that. Or the thing that I would get a lot is, Simone, isn't that a girl's name?
Yep.
And it used to drive me so crazy.
Yep.
But then I realized all I'm doing is giving them power by getting angry when they call me Simone or be like, hey, isn't that a girl's name?
Yeah, for me, it's House N.
So
it's wild. It's just wild. It is what it is. Anyways. You guys, let us know what you think of the cancellation. Are you buying the Yeezys on the black market? Is Kanye done, or is he going to have the greatest comeback known to cancellation? I think it's interesting. Again, I just think that people should be able to have these conversations, and the fact that no one has stepped up, Piers Morgan tried to do it. Lex tried to do it as well.
I thought his conversation with Lex Friedman was super good. If you want to see a
rational side of him.
Yeah, and Lex Friedman is Jewish and, is well-read.
He's not just Jewish and Russian, or he's just Jewish?
He's a Russian Jew.
Okay, cool.
So he has a very, he's fucking genius, has a super deep knowledge of history. So it was interesting to see, him actually say that what you're saying is hurtful. Humanize it on that level to be what you don't understand is this history. We carry it with, and I am personally hurt by what you said. That's why I thought it was such a good conversation. And there was a certain point where Kanye told him, don't fucking tell me what to do, basically. So they had a very interesting conversation, but it was real.
Yeah.
Where it was people being humans and trying to actually hear each other. And at the end of the convo, Lex was like, I love you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that, what I found to be super valuable, because even though he had these emotions, he did not let that get in the way of having a meaningful conversation.
There's so much I wanted to say that I forgot. Yo, I guess Yeezy takes up 10% of the Adidas sales. That's a huge, in a corporation, taking 10% of the sales away. But Yeezy's brand and his influence towards Adidas, they're saying they're dropping him. He's a horrible person. But what we're not seeing, because I'm talking about the black market now, we don't know what the public thinks. See, they did this during the pandemic. They made us think every 100% of people were going to go out and get the thang, and they didn't. And a lot more people didn't want to. Some of them were forced to. Same thing. They're trying to manipulate the media to make it seem like, yo, I just wonder how people think.
What do you mean by they?
I mean, anyways, but what I would also like to say is where he was the supreme reckless, it's
crazy.
You don't categorize a whole community of people from a cluster of people who did things to you. That's where it's dangerous, you know? It's like, because, you know, me and you have talked about, let's say, the George Soroses and the Jeffrey Epsteins, but you're not going to go categorize people, a community like, yo, they're all like that. Like, that's wild to me. Now, I don't even want to get into it because I don't know what I can say on YouTube currently. People have their own mind, their own thoughts on it. It is more complex than what people are saying. And I think...
So yeah, and that's why it's hard, because it's like, I hear something different than what you hear.
Yes.
You hear something different. When he's having the convo, there's something else that comes across.
Yeah.
When I was listening to the conversation, I heard something different than what other people were hearing that were hurt and feel like he should be completely canceled.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that I agree with what he was saying or the way that he delivered the message, but I heard something.
Well, and that
in that message that I was like, I feel like I understand what he's trying to
convey.
say, but it's in such a reckless way that is being hurtful to people, that the deeper meaning that has value is being lost in this.
Well,
and that's what makes me sad about it, because there are elements of the conversation that he's trying to start or trying to have where I'm like, yo, man, there's something in there, and the way it's coming out is having this huge negative impact on something that could potentially have a positive impact.
Yeah, the way he's communicating too is like, and some metrics are very like that hood communication, and it's getting lost in translation. And the rumblings of what you're hearing, those rumblings are all over the internet. That's why they're like, they're leery, because it's like they post up the white supremacist people doing this craziness. But what's happening is there's another conversation happening with what you're hearing in some of the things he's saying. Other people are talking about, and they're like, hey, why is this like this?
And
like,
this is why
they're being curious. And what's interesting is in the roots, what everyone is missing is the pro-black part of the conversation.
That's what I'm getting
where he
at.
just wants to uplift his community and get them out of the degradation and of their music and the things that, but that's also not just on, you can't blame on other people. I'm one of the people where I'm like, yo, we got to start taking extreme accountability for the culture, because what he's saying isn't wrong.
Makes me sad.
But that's the first step. Once we take extreme accountability, but then it's like working with our people, the other people who are working in the industry or let's say gatekeepers, because not all the gatekeepers are one community, but we'll start working with the gatekeepers like, yo, this is the goal. And I understand what he's saying there. I do understand that. It's very vivid what he's saying, and he's not wrong.
This is where I get mind fucked, right? Because Kanye got
you and the F word, bro. You love that word.
I know, I got to work on that. So this is where, you know, it messes with my brain a little bit, because, you know, people will paint Kanye as being crazy, but look at what he's done. Look at how he's promoted himself. And the way that he did this, everyone's talking about it.
Yeah.
It's like the biggest thing in the news right now.
Yep.
He figured, I don't want to say he figured out a way, but like he is at the center of the news cycle right now.
Yep. He's been at it for almost a month straight. So, but they're not allowing to make money off it. So we'll see how this plays out for your boy Ye. Anyways, you guys, let us know what you think too. And like, were you hurt by any of his comments? How do you feel about this, honestly? Did we have a level, neutral conversation about this, or were we getting a little ratchet with it? Let us know in the comments. We appreciate you guys. And before we go, I just want to spread some human love. Jeez, like, people get so caught up in this culture war nonsense. I'm burnt out. You know what? I tell you, I'm burnt out. That's why I've been doing the freestyle stuff more than ever, because I'm like, I'd rather just freestyle, rap, and people enjoy that than, just the culture war is dark and it's deep. But hey, we also gotta, keep fighting the good fight. So on that note, we're about to ride out. Anything you want to say on the outro?
That's it, man. Peace and love to all people.
Yep.
All people, all colors, all races, all
Damn,
religions.
man, that was racist. You basically just said all lives matter. That's a dog whistle, bro. Yo, hit the like button.
I can't win.
Subscribe.
I can't
comment. Yo, we out of here.
There's no winning.
Thank you for being some man. 40 years down the road, back again. FUQ boy.